Some things never cease to amaze me. Sunrises, hitting a golf ball straight, and the overwhelming ignorance of the common person. Here's a thought. Use Form Bs to determine classification. This, in fact, is competitive balance. Season 8 of Sun Coaches Podcast, where not everyone is funny or tells funny stories, but everyone has a story. Welcome to Sun Coaches Podcast, Season 8, and today I'm joined by the Executive Director of the Georgia Fired Football Coaches Association, Coach Ed Gaffca. Thanks for being on with me.
Always excited to be here.
Well, Coach, it is March Madness, and everybody else and their brother has picks. You've got a bracket going with almost 200 people in it. I'm in one at work, and I had a good first week. And for somebody who doesn't watch basketball, I think I ticked one of the other teachers off because he was like, "Hey, man, you're in first place. How did you only miss 4 games in the first round?" Well, what I do is I look at the team colors and I pick my favorite. If I don't have a favorite, I look at the mascots and kind of like Coach Leach said, who would win in a fight. And then I go on historical, who generally does good in the tournament. BYU banged me on that because I picked them and they lost. I pick an upset. My upset pick, I think, was Georgia getting beat. I had absolutely zero confidence in them winning a March playoff game. And I also don't let my emotions. I'm a Tennessee fan. I picked them to win the first round, and I was like, well, Virginia's good. I mean, they gave Duke all they wanted. So I had Virginia in the Final Four. So for all intents and purposes, I'm out because one of my Final Fours, I think I had them in the finals, losing to Houston. So I'm pretty much out of it, but I'm going to enjoy watching everybody else. How did your March Madness go so far, Coach?
Well, to be honest with you, it hadn't been too bad. We've definitely had a lot of people, join, and part of it I think is because we will have a trophy plaque for the winner as well as a decal and a hat from the fire coaches of Georgia, and then we will, and then we got a nice monetary donation from one of my partners, and so there is a little bit of extra there. And if you get last by not tanking, but you get last, actually trying to win this thing, you get the last place trophy named after you for a calendar year, and just kind of ridicule of how bad of a knower of basketball you are. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about seeing how everything comes through. My bracket is, I still have all my Final Four teams. I'm kind of right there in it, but I don't pretend to know nearly enough about basketball. But I think these 3 weeks, 4 weeks, where it leads into the Masters as well as the March Madness outside of football's opening weekend, in college and everything. Yeah, these are some of the better times to be a sports fan, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And I saw something the other day about in the women's tournament, the coach coaching the kid hard, and that split a lot of people on that. I can't even remember what the team was, Maryland, I think, and she's getting in that girl's behind, and she's in her face, and she's making great eye contact, and she says, "I believe in you. You've got to grasp the moment. I believe in you." She keeps saying all that, and there's been, it's kind of the internet is where we expose the stupidity of common man, and anybody that never played sports, they really don't need to comment on it, just like I'm never gonna comment on building an airplane. Or, I mean, there's most things I'm not gonna comment on because I don't have a frame of reference. I didn't do it. I have no idea about it. Therefore, I'm just gonna be quiet. And if more people did that, it'd be a happier place. But coach, did you happen to see that situation? And what do you think that says about, our game, not our game because we're not women, but the women's game, just college sports in general, and how those kids are coached as opposed to how we coach high school kids?
Well, again, I think it goes back to the individual coaches and relationships they have with their players and how they need to know how to motivate them, right? Like some kids react better and play better with a foot in their ass. Other kids need to be patted on the back and felt, they need to be built up to feel like they're bulletproof. But knowing the difference and how to do that effectively, I think is the number one skill that good coaches have, no matter the level. You know, you know what motivates your kids individually because you can't really blanket approach how to how do I motivate my team? Well, from a team standpoint, you have your goals and everything, but in your position groups and how you coach individuals, well, that's all different. That's all different per the kid. And that takes you being a good teacher, a good kind of adapter of kind of how can you reach certain kids because there's certain kids that'll shut down on you if you berate them, right? And on the contrary, there's kids that when you berate them, you've now kind of focused them and they're ready to get after it. They're ready to do everything you've been asking them to do because, okay, I need to hear that. I needed you to, get after me a little bit. So, I like to see that approach, right? Like I like to see because she wasn't doing that with every player. She wasn't doing it with every player. And to me, that showed that she knew how she could talk to that player in that moment to get the best out of her. So if we're if we're being honest with ourselves, the more we're able to do that, I think the better results we're going to have in getting the most out of the kids that we coach.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, different things motivate different people. I was a catcher in high school in baseball, and I had to deal with pitchers, and I called all the pitches, and I worked at it so that the coach trusted me to do it and played on a good high school team. And I had different kind of personalities I had to deal with. I had one guy that he had to be mad at me to throw better. I had another guy that I had to, hey man, you're going to be okay, and pat him on the back. Had other guy that just didn't say anything to him. He didn't have to say anything. He was self-motivated. I didn't have to say that sucked or pick it up or any of that other stuff. You just didn't talk to him. That made life so much better. And it comes down to knowing your people. And I think as coaches, one of the most important things we can do is you build those relationships and you know who can take what. That's never changed. I never responded very well to getting hollered and screamed at. I still don't. Working for head coaches that want to carry on like that, you might as well just send me home because I'm not going to listen to it. I don't want to hear it. And I don't know who you think you're talking to, but you must not be, you can't be talking to me if you think I'm going to do anything and I've been like that since I was 8. I mean, that's not going to change. Now, I'll be respectful. I'll say, yes, sir. I'll do, yes, ma'am. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. But you hollering and screaming at me, ain't really the thing to do. I mean, it ain't gonna get much out of me. But building that relationship with those players and understanding what you've got to do to get people to do. I mean, everybody's on the same team. Everybody has the same goal, and part of being a coach is knowing what buttons to press.
So, and I don't think that enough people understand that, and I think that it's kind of a lost, art at times, and that includes how you handle your interactions with adults. As a leader in a school building or as a leader on a football team, you know, motivation and how to kind of reach a big group of people is definitely different. But when you have those one-on-one or small group interactions, being able to kind of tailor it to fit the right learning model and right kind of way to get those people motivated to follow you. To me, that separates the good from the bad and the effective from not effective.
Well, that kind of leads into the next topic that we're going to discuss, and that is the article you wrote about young coaches. And I've obviously probably got a lot to say about this as you did in your article. I thought it was extremely well written. As usual, you do such a great job with those long form articles. I think you're doing people a service. Now, this is something that has turned into it's generational. I saw somebody post, respond like every older generation has said this. Yeah, every old generation thinks that the younger generations are sorry and ain't worth a crap. We're not saying that. We're saying that this generation that is coming up in coaching right now, they are different. They were raised differently than the prior however many generations there were before now. They were told they were snowflakes. They were everybody gets a trophy kids. You have a hard time paying attention. Well, look, you have a disease and we're going to give you drugs to help you control. I mean, nobody had an attention deficit disorder for 2000 over 2000 years. And then all of a sudden, we couldn't pay attention anymore and had to have drugs to help us pay attention, help us focus up. And this generation is different. And when you try to say something to them, you try to offer them any guidance, as some of the responses showed, they will get butt hurt and they will say whatever. and they will blame it on everybody else but themselves. And I think you did a great service trying to help these people out. Part of the impetus of me starting this podcast was people telling their stories so that the young coaches could understand where they came from, understood all of the things that go into it, and we still have young coaches out there who bitch and moan about, and they keep hiring all these old coaches. Shut up. Did you apply at Redan? Did you apply at Twiggs County? Because those are the jobs you can get when you're 25 years old and you haven't even been a coordinator, or you coordinated for 1 year. Those are the jobs you get. Not you don't get Northgate, you don't get Westlake, you don't get Carrollton, you don't get Gainesville, you don't get those jobs until you've chewed some dirt. And they don't want you no dirt. They think they do something one time, get luckiest placement in the history of ever as a young coach. And instead of just staying there and soaking it up and keep winning, they think I'm got to go right now. They won't even give me a chance. Shut up. Who do you think's doing the hiring? Somebody probably in your reference list is banging you. That's probably what's happening because you're not polished enough or you're not ready and you're applying for jobs that you don't have any business applying for. It's kind of like SpongeBob when he was telling Patrick Patrick wanted to win an award. He told him to think about the smallest thing he could think of, think the smallest thing you can think of. And it was taking the lid off a jar. You need to take the lid off the jar job first. And I'm sure I'm going to get more fired up about it as you go into the article. However, I thought it was well written, and I think that you did a good job of providing some guidance. And if nothing else, what the old heads think and say about the young coaches.
Yeah, and I do wanna make sure that it is known that, it's not and the coaches that have come at me and said, "Well, this is what for every generation, the old coaches say this about the young generations." I address that in the first damn paragraph. It's not about having a different opinion of the next generations coming up in terms of their ability and stuff. This is more of a consistent culture problem that I've noticed in this year, especially, in speaking to a lot of young coaches that are trying to get their foot in the door places, coaches that are trying to go from position coach to coordinator, or just kind of expand their horizons. And they don't see the big picture whatsoever. They think that they already have all the answers. They think that them going and being a core or being a position coach, a JV coach, a ninth grade, an eighth grade coach at a Carrollton or a Buford or Milton, a North Cobb, a Lee County is somehow a step down from them being the quarterbacks coach at, I don't know, insert Turner County, right? Like, again, you got to look at everything in a different kind of scope here and understand that, you know, number one, be where your feet are and make sure you're getting everything you can out of the experiences and the people around you. Because the moment you start thinking, man, I know all this, I know all this. Okay, maybe you've learned all you can from the people around you. But when somebody does come with a difference of opinion and you automatically think, well, I know how to do it my way, you're already losing. You're already losing because there's 100 different ways to skin a cat, right? The amount of times when we talk an offensive line play, if you go to every offensive line coach in the state of Georgia and ask them how they prefer a stance, their hand placement, and every piece of it, you're probably going to get almost 100 different answers. 100 different answers, and they'll give you their justification. You should be there as a sponge and listen to all of it, take it in, and help that develop your opinion on it. And then you have to now put that in motion. I get so tired of the guys who have only coached wide receivers or quarterbacks or one position group their entire career saying they really want to call plays and be an offensive coordinator. Okay, you've never coached offensive lines. You have no idea. You have zero clue how to scheme that, how to how to teach it, how to make sure that you're putting people in the right places to be successful. And that's the name of the game. So, from that standpoint, it's a very, I say standoffish, or, it's a very, you know, uh, I deserve this kind of entitlement piece of Well, I'm good doing that for a year, but after that, I think I should be given more responsibility. You'll get more responsibility once you've earned it. Because the reality is, if you go into a job and you are number one, not 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 willing to do the laundry, take and pick up kids, set up the field, make sure the balls are ready, make sure you got, everything, drill set up, you're staying late, you're staying whatever it is. If you're not doing that because it's quote unquote, oh, my coach didn't have these written out explanations of duties, you're an absolute child. The fact that you need mommy and daddy to tell you you need to take the garbage out on garbage day, grow your ass up. Because at the end of the day, coaches all talk. They're a very gossipy bunch, okay? And the reality is when you go and try to put your name into the hat somewhere else, first thing they're gonna say is, he knows football, but the joker doesn't like work. He doesn't work. He doesn't know how to work. He doesn't know how to do this. And that's the biggest nail in the coffin. You could be a hell of a football coach. Nobody's questioning your knowledge of the game. So get off your little entitlement horse and realize that, it's not about your knowledge of the game. It's the fact that you're not willing to humble yourself and realize you still need to learn stuff. You still need to figure out how to coach this stuff and do the work because most places have turf field now. You're not even having to paint the damn field anymore. But the fact that I got comments about, you know, well, it's not, written out. Grow the hell up. The fact that you need stuff written out is the most juvenile. Like, and it made sense. That guy has free agent coach in his damn bio. No shit. Ain't nobody gonna hire his ass. Like he's Captain Hindsight on Friday and Saturday after the game. Like I would have called this. We should have called this. We should have done this. And just go eat a dick. Like that guy sucks. And I mean I'm over. Like we have some great coaches, really really do, and some really great young coaches that do a really great job. They understand the sacrifices that it takes. But then you have all these other ones who are just about titles, and titles are the dumbest thing in the world. Do you know how many people know who actually calls the play on Friday, a touchdown? Nobody. Nobody. Call yourself the wide receiver coordinator. Call yourself the damn coordinator of the water. I don't care what you call yourself. Just own it, learn it, and be the best at it you can. If you want to go and put on your resume that you were director of football operations, I guarantee you do a good enough job for your head coach. He doesn't care what the shit you put on there. He'll say, "Oh yeah, he was," but you're so damn narrow minded that you don't understand. You're not willing to just say, "Well, I don't want to work, JV." Go coach middle school and coach offense because you're going to have two coaches on offense and two coaches on defense. Coach all those kids and figure out how to plan and figure out how to make those kids enjoy football, learn the basics, and go compete. Then go and volunteer your time, even if you're not asked to. You show your ass up on Friday and you're sitting there charting the game for them. You're writing down the play calls, down and distance. You're doing anything you can to add value because I guarantee you it's going to pay off. But even if you're listening to me now, you're sitting there shaking your head like, why the shit would I do that? And that's the problem. That's the problem. You're not willing to do it because you think it's beneath you. When all of us have done it. I've coached for free my first year coaching and did anything and everything I could to get more responsibility and build trust. You've got to be willing to do that. And if you're not willing to do that, that's fine. But don't be mad when opportunities don't come your way. And I think that's the overwhelming point. It's not about your ability and maybe one day you will be the head coach at insert, Buford. Okay. Maybe that is your future, but you're a long way off. And you got a lot of lessons to learn. And all you're doing right now by putting shit out on social media that, well, I think it's poor leadership and they're not da 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 da. You look like an asshole. And quite frankly, you are. So grow up, figure it out, go do the work, pick up a broom and get to work. It's that simple.
Well, I agree 1000% that there are a lot of great young coaches out there. Generationally, anybody that wants to argue that every generation, well, let me ask you this. In my generation, the 50 to 60-year-old guys, when we were coming up, was there a pass game coordinator? Was there a run game coordinator? Was there a DFO? No. No, there weren't. We had an OC, we had a DC. Everybody else was a position coach, and we had the head coach, and that was it. And we didn't need a title. The only title we wanted was OC or DC or head coach eventually. I got my first and only head coaching job 10 years into it. 10 years. Was I ready? Heck no. Not even close. Completely did a disservice to those young men that played on that team. Had no business leading at all. You couldn't tell me that. And I was 32, 33 years old, not 24, 25. Oh, well, you didn't play Division I football. I played at Uki. That doesn't matter. You as a player and you as a coach, they're not the same thing. You as a player, it's not about you. It's about that child, that kid that you're with, that you have to deal with. And I don't care if it's old man yelling at the clouds. I don't care because my ultimate goal is to help people. But I'm sick and tired of sitting here and watching the same thing over and over and the same complaints and the same. I mean, the fact that we have to have a staff meeting where either it's printed out on paper or like now we use Spiral XO, the software package. We really love it. It's great. It's kind of replaced Google Drive and we can test the kids and we can put all of our playbook on there. But you know what else we can have on there, coach? We can put our responsibilities on there. And before the coach put mine on there, I put light turner on her because that was my job. I got there first. I turned the lights on. I turned the lights on. 5:45 in the morning, lights on, practice field. Well, now we got new lights that he can do on the phone from his house. That took that job from me. But I was like, yeah, I'm going to use that as a title. I'm the head, I'm the light turner owner coordinator. I am the optic optimization coordinator. I turn the lights on because that's what it's come to. Oh, I've got to have a title. Can you give me this title? I might need it for my next job. No, you don't. Do a good job. Be good at what you do. The word gets out. And there's a lot of young coaches that they do a great job and they do all of these things and they still don't get a chance. But that's just the way it is. That's life. You ain't always going to get to be in charge. You ain't always going to get to drive the nice car. You're not always going to get to date the hot chick. And nobody cares what you did in the past. What are you doing now at your job that you're at now? Because a lot of times these administrators, they call around, the ones that are worth a crap, they call around and they ask, hey, man, people they know, people they trust, who would be a fit here? Do you have any young coaches that are ready? And we tell them. I mean, every young coach I heard speak at our retreat, I would say they are on the path to being an excellent head coach. Every one of them did a great job. They were organized. They knew what they were talking about. They stood up there and talked like the head coach of their position. And that's what you are when you're an assistant coach. I have been at places where I have been the third or fourth highest paid employee in the whole freaking county and had a young coach when I said, hey, man, let's get up here and clean up this. We need to, head coach is dealing with something. We need to come sweep this up. Well, I don't get paid enough money to do that, coach. Well, hell, you think I do? I probably make twice as much as you do and probably wouldn't stop to pick your supplement up if it was sitting on the side of the road. I'll lose that in a golf game on a Friday in June. And you're telling me that you won't get it? You better be glad I'm not in charge because it'd be the last time you coached. And it wouldn't just be at our school because I know folks. I know people. And I'll tell them he ain't worth a crap. He don't want to work. And let's not even get into the classroom. Because if you can't teach and you can't act the way you're supposed to in the school building and carry yourself in a professional manner and do your job and every little thing that they want you to do and be at your duty on time and make sure you're where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be, supervise your kids, turn in your lesson plans, and hold it together in the classroom without having to write people up every 42 seconds or kick them out, you ain't gonna make it. I mean, that might have something to do with it too, but that's it on that. You know, it's still going to fall on deaf ears. There's still going to be people pissed off. There's some people that probably think that I like Lamb until he said that. Well, it's kind of like going to church. You know how I pick a church, coach? I go to the place where the preacher says something that I don't like. And as long as it's scripture based, if I don't like it, guess what? I probably needed to hear it. Crap, I still need to hear stuff. I'm still not a finished product as a coach or a teacher. There's a lot of things I suck at. But I know one thing I shouldn't have to do. I shouldn't have to, at 5 back surgeries and a stroke at 50-something years old, be setting up the field and look over there and see a 24-year-old coach on his phone being a rah-rah guy, and he doesn't help clean anything up, or he can't even organize the kids to go carry the stuff to set it up. I shouldn't see that. That shouldn't even be a thing. But it is a thing, and since it is a thing, it leads to people losing their jobs and other jobs coming open. Coach, is there anything in the job market right now that is still open and cooking that you have any kind of intel or opinions about?
Well, we can't all be Josh Niblett, okay? He's obviously got it all figured out. So, all we can do is get a 1% better to Josh Niblett. That's kind of my goal every single day when I wake up. And that's where I'm trying to go. But in terms of jobs, what we have is Northgate came back open. So that job closed in second week of February, and Coach Ferdinand submitted his letter of resignation today. For personal reasons. I'm not privy to that information, and I'm not. That's for him to share whatever he wants to. But hope everything's good, and hope he's hope all ends up well for him. I know that Northgate did reach out to the second place finisher from the initial time. He's a Gwinnett guy, and I would be surprised if he takes it since he just bought a house. But listen, money's green. You know, I for the right amount of cash, they could probably get my ass to Northgate. But the reality is, it's kind of in limbo at the moment. I'm guessing they're going to go back down their list of people they interviewed after this whole thing. I mean, it's going to be a tough situation to go into just because you are so close to spring football and you've had a coach there for a month and a half. This is the third coach, you know, since November for him. And it's unfortunate for the kids there, and hopefully they can right the ship and put on a good product come the fall. But yeah, I did see that Redan finally finished their death march of a hiring process. Kudos to them. I mean, somebody had to take the damn thing. So I earmark it for probably 2 to 4 years down the road. It'll be open again, God willing. So if you're got your one circled on that one, just wait 2 to 4 years. It'll be open again. Has no reflection on the coach that just took it. It's just how that job and a lot of jobs like it kind of operate. So yeah, as for other jobs and that's kind of all I got on that.
Well, coach, I saw also on the Twitterverse, on the X that you've been picking on Gainesville again. What in the world, coach?
I mean, God forbid. I get sent a lot of stuff, through DMs every day. And, a lot of times if it's speculation, I don't really put it out there. If they have like, photo proof, I'll put it out there, And naturally, I get sent something from Gainesville because I think that, it's just they do themselves no favors at times. And their baseball coach was suspended for getting thrown out of like the Milton game, so naturally, he had to do the 1 game suspension, but God forbid he couldn't miss the Lanier game. And he decided to, I say, allegedly go and sit behind center field in a restricted area, which is a bold move, and wearing the exact coaching cloth that all the other coaches were wearing. And decided to be there, relaying signs and all that good stuff, all allegedly. And I guess that's me picking on Gainesville. It's funny because people always comment. There's two like high school probably age kids that are trolls on X, and they always want to know why I don't go after Ben Reeves and Milton. And my response is always, go after them how? Nobody is sending me actual proof of anything. That you can sit there and say they're recruiting kids. Okay, show me. Show me. I'll be more than happy to put it on blast. Ben knows that, and the reality is it's not that they're even doing anything wrong, right? Like it's the fact that you think I'm just attacking Gainesville. Guys, and every single time somebody says that I'm bashing Gainesville, I do the same thing. I always quote it and I say, if you could provide me one instance where I bash Gainesville, please do it. And you can't find it. You just can't because it doesn't exist. Stating the obvious and providing commentary on it is not bashing them. If you disagree with the commentary, that's a you thing. That is the most sensitive ass fan base that has ever graced this planet. I mean it when I say that I legitimately think they are ripe for a religious leader to come in and have them join a cult, and then they all decide the world's going to end, so they all take or drink the Kool-Aid of poison to kill themselves. They are that kind of makeup, a genetic makeup of stupidity, and they believe everything. And if you speak ill about it, honestly, very Scientologist like, right? Like that's kind of the vibe. You don't speak ill about it. You just, the more money you pay, the higher up the food chain you're going to go in the Big Red Brotherhood, right? And to me, I just don't understand how they can look at something and go, it is a little bit weird that 11 of the 11 varsity basketball players were not in Gainesville schools, but our JV team last year, boy, they dominated. You know why? Because all these kids were on JV last year to be ineligible. I mean, it's not rocket science. Like, again, I'm not knocking the fact that you got kids in. You've obviously done it. You have stated, like, here's the standard at Gainesville. We are going to win at all costs, which, hey, if that's what you want to do, go right ahead. I don't care. But that comes with critique. It comes with the natural things here. So for you to get all up in your feelings about it, my God, like y'all could those people will have the right to vote, and that should worry everybody. Like those people's vote count just as much as yours for any topic that comes up in a state or local election or national election. Those jokers can vote just like you. And for Christ's sake, we really need to institute maybe just a policy about that, because I I wouldn't trust them to make a, good decision, between, like, I don't know, the fiery pit of hell or heaven, right? Like, they're gonna go wherever, the daddy God tells them to go, okay? And that's the problem. Those people, and you've got me off on a damn just they piss me off because they just are so stupid and you just can't fix them. You can lay shit out there to them as much as you want, but they just are helpless little puppies. And I can't. You feel bad at this point because they don't recognize any of these jokers on the fields and the courts because shit they don't know them. I mean, it is what it is, but God forbid they are a brotherhood now. They built that brotherhood up. God bless them, love them to death. I'm a Santavius Bryant fan, and like listen, I got nothing against Santavius. And I didn't have anything against Josh Niblett. I just think that Josh Niblett is a cartoon character. That's all. So that's where it stands with the Big Red Brotherhood.
Yeah, when the baseball coach got banged for sitting out there with allegedly with, video evidence, and he allegedly sits out there and does that, it makes me think that the problem over there is systemic. It's a leadership issue because you had an issue during football. Everybody on God's green earth knows that you're bringing people in, you got burner phones, you're not doing anything the right way, you're backdooring to get all these coaches in. Then you go to the GHSA and try to get your region changed because you claim that everybody in the region drives through Gainesville to get to wherever else they're going, which is not true. Again, systemic to the leadership is what I'm thinking. It's what it appears to me. To the layman, to the person that doesn't have enough of a calibre to even land one of these jobs, I don't care, wouldn't want it. Just saying, it looks to me, the big three. Football, you had a problem. Basketball, we know what went on there. Baseball, now we've got this. I mean, we're filing injunctions because we didn't get our way. We didn't follow the rules. We didn't do whatever. We got all this stuff going on, and it looks like that corruption is systemic over there. It's apparently, I mean, that's what it appears. To the untrained eye, it looks no bueno, not good, not real good at all. Most other places, we've got a problem. We'd probably think we have a problem. We have a serious problem. But apparently, it's not a problem there. That's just the way it is. That's the way they've always done it. Apparently, that's the way they want to continue to do it. Is this the only place that operates like that? Oh, absolutely not. They're just the most visible. They're the most out there. But just keep this in mind when we have this vote that the guy that's in charge of all of that department over there is the same guy who is behind the competitive balance model. Okay. So just keep that in mind going forward with everything else that's going. And do you think that they're gonna do anything that's not gonna give them an even bigger advantage than what they already create for themselves by how they conduct themselves. They don't care about
Well,
ru
and to be honest with you, and here's where I think everything gets lost, right? Your job as an athletic director, right, is to do everything you can for your coaches, to just blanket it, right? Like if your coaches need something, that you want to do everything you can to help them be successful. I know Adam Lindsey's clearly doing that, right? I'm not denying that. I think the larger issue is, where is the line of this is okay, this isn't okay, and what is our standard? I think that the Bruce Miller group of supporters and everything, I don't think they recognize this Gainesville for a litany of reasons. And I think that, because I've got nothing against people building really great. If you have the money to build the facility that they built in Gainesville, and allow their kids to have the opportunities they have, absolutely do it. No doubt about it. I don't see any issue with doing it. But if we're talking about, kind of what they've allowed to take place with some of the, you know, move-ins and things of that nature, and that, I think that, and not for nothing, they just hired, again, I'm going to use allegedly, the most well-known girls basketball cheater in Georgia high school history. If you don't think that come next winter, they don't have about 10 girls that definitely did not play there last year, you are insane. Go look at her history. She's played for like 19 state championships. Okay. Like, I mean, do you think you do that because you're really good at teaching, the girls on your team how to dribble with both their right and left hand, like most of the girls basketball that we are subject to? You do it by getting the best damn girls that understand that they actually benefits them to not wear knee pads and elbow pads when they play the damn sport, because they fall down more than any sport that has ever taken place. It's the most wild situation when you go and watch girls basketball, like a regular girls basketball game versus, normal girls versus normal girls, where, God almighty, they are going to score 28 to 25 points, and they're going to fall down 28 to 25 times. Trust me, that new head girls basketball coach, not with her. She's about to get girls that know how to play basketball, and there it's going to show. Guarantee it. So again, it's the standard by whatever they want. I just don't think that they can kind of tell me what the standard is, because I think it's new. I don't think that it exists at like that line in the sand is not non-existent.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the issue I have, which, I mean, I guess technically I really don't care, but for the sake of argument, have they done a great job with their facilities? Oh, absolutely. Have they done a great job with bringing in the who they perceive as the best coaches to coach the sports? Absolutely. 3 absolute bangers. Coach Niblett, they brought Chan in, and now they got the girls basketball coach coming in. Legends. Legends. Have won other places they've been, no problem. The problem is, are you doing things above board everywhere else? Which brings us to our last topic, Coach. I saw you post it on X this evening. It's Monday as we record, because we had a snafu. I had to fire my producer last week. He did a crappy job with our broadcast, so I fired him. And it appears, Coach, that regardless of the warnings, regardless of being told, regardless of saying that we keep receipts, and by we I mean you, and that you, when given photo evidence and hard, irrefutable evidence of calling kids and recruiting kids, it seems that we still have people that are either cheating or they're a pedophile.
Yep, and the reality is we have same school district here, same county, and at the end of the day, we're sliding into children's DMs. Again, stop, look in the mirror, and think: Is this something that I can bring up to, I don't know, a jury of my peers and justify? Because if your answer is the answer that all these recruiting gurus give, which is the game's changed. That's how you got to communicate with kids. Okay, counterpoint. Why the shit are you communicating with kids that they're not your kids? Stop DMing children, you absolute lowlife. At the end of the day, I get it. You're talking to these kids. Great, awesome. You're trying to provide an opportunity. Great, awesome. figure out a way to talk to their parents. Like, I don't understand why you continue to just think that that's okay. It's embarrassing. And then I get people that DM me after I posted tonight that, oh, well, look, the coach on the other side of this, he DM'd him. And like, I looked at the DM and it's just like a congratulations, or it's just like a, hey, great job, whatever. I mean, I find it harmless. It's kind of in that gray area, but like the rule of thumb is obviously probably don't do it to begin with. But if when you DM somebody, you say, "Oh, you look really good in our colors," man. That again, you're towing that line of why are you imagining them in different clothes, you pervert? Okay, like why do I have to even say those things and you not automatically agree? I just don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, I really don't. I think that there's a large portion of coaches shaking their head right now that's like, no, it's okay. We don't, okay. Again, people want to say I attacked Gainesville. Fair, whatever. I get more DMs and proof of things that happen about Gainesville. But again, when I get stuff from people from other teams, I clearly put the shit out there. So, I think that it's just a matter of, you having this selective kind of viewpoint of it. But yeah, just stop DMing kids. Damn it. Like, I don't, we either have a massive, pedophile problem in the state of Georgia, or, we got a bunch of damn cheaters that when they get caught, they're gonna be like, I didn't do anything. Damn, you're so stupid. No, what you are stupid. So, that's all I got with these dumbasses, and hopefully they figure it out at some point. If not, they're gonna get arrested, and then they gotta explain to a jury of non-football coaches why they were DMing 15-year-olds, 14-year-olds, eighth graders, all that stuff. Good luck.
Well, Coach, it's been another banger episode, and I appreciate you coming on and talking March Madness and talking about the what young coaches need to hear and the great article you wrote there, little jobs, and finishing up with our favorite topic, and that is the group that just seem to can't get out of their own way. Maybe we should have another group that we jump on. Well, there's nobody else that blatantly flaunts the rules like they do, apparently. But what else you got going on this week, Coach?
But, I talked with some great coaches this past week. I had a good conversation with Tony Franklin. We're gonna be working on something between him, myself, and Rush Probst. I'm just gonna be a fly on the wall for that. I don't add anything but probably comedic humor to whatever shit they want to talk about. Was able to talk with Jeff Aaron, great football coach, and low key one of the coaches that I've had an opportunity to speak with. And then I actually talked to Coach Browner out there at Bishop Norman, and just his perspective on how they go about their challenges out there. And if you really want to look up something, look up the Nevada Athletic Association and just how screwy that entire system is, and it'll make you thankful for Tim Scott at the GHSA. You heard it here first. I also had a really good I've got a opportunity, I guess, or a call that is, kind of pending at the moment. But Billy Napier has been following me for quite some time, and I'm in the process of working something out with him. So looking forward to connecting with him and seeing if I can't get him to let his guard down a little bit on everything. So if we're successful, I'll let you know. But yeah, that's kind of all I got.
Well, Coach, as always, I enjoy it, and I thank everybody for tuning in, listening. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share to relax. It's just satire.